Some of you may have heard that there is a new museum opening in Cairo, and on the 1st of November 2025, the Grand Egyptian Museum opened. And what you're looking at now is the previous home. Now, it's still open, and it's not quite in its previous glory. They've moved a lot of artifacts out, such as Tutankhamun's mask. But here in Tahrir Square at the Egyptian Museum, since 1902, this was the quintessential museum. You came here and it almost feels like you're in a movie set. And I think a lot of movies such as The Mummy, where there's scenes in museums, have been based off buildings like this. It was designed by French architect Marcel Duneau at a time when there was a lot of competition around finding and explaining ancient Egypt and sharing everything that you found. Obviously, many items went abroad, went to places like London and Paris. But in an attempt to centralize and protect the archaeological discoveries, this museum was created, and it has some magnificent historical pieces here. This one here is Akhenaten, who's actually Tutankhamun's father, and you can see that he's quite a distinct looking person with a long face and wide hips for a man. He's kind of androgynous. And these two have quite cool hair and kind of remind me of those ghost twins from the second Matrix movie. It was definitely noticeable on my visit how much quieter it was than the first time I went, and I suppose that's because so much of the traffic is now being redirected to the Grand Egyptian Museum, which I'm also producing a video about, and that is an amazing building. Obviously, still covers the same broad topics, but the architecture really adds to it. And this statue is a very famous one. This is Khafre, who ruled during the 4th dynasty around 2500 BC. He's often associated with the second pyramid at Giza, and it's a real political statement. It's a very hard stone. It's made from dark diorite. This statue's doing the Cole Palmer. I've never quite seen a sphinx like this, but this is Amenemhat III, and I imagine the ears suggest he can listen very well. And this one looks like she's from Star Wars. As with so many of the things in ancient Egypt, the real question is, what am I looking at? What you're looking at is Ramses II with the god Horus. This is the 19th dynasty, which is about 13th century BC. What was great about it being so quiet is that you did get to spend time alone with these amazing artifacts. It was as you went upstairs that you really started to notice how bare some of the places were and how much had been removed. There isn't an official plan to close this museum, but they will be prioritizing the Grand Egyptian Museum for most of the famous objects and objects perhaps that couldn't be displayed so well with the architecture and space in this building. So it's likely that this will still remain open, and they probably will be able to restore and refill most of this museum, but it will be secondary and perhaps more of a throwback to the history of Egypt. And as you can see in lots of these cases, it's either bare or it feels a little bit soulless, which is ironic considering you're looking at a wooden coffin and a sarcophagus. If you've never been to Cairo and you've never been to the Egyptian Museum before, then I would definitely recommend that if you make a trip to Cairo that you should go. I would recommend that you do it before you go to the Grand Egyptian Museum. I think it's important to understand where the story of Egyptology began and the home that it had in Cairo before it moved to its new exquisite home. And this is where Tutankhamun's mask used to be. He did tell me not to take a photo, so I took a video, which I think is a clever loophole that I took there. Although so much has been removed, and in many ways it does feel a little bit unfinished, even the floor looks a little bit worse for wear, I still think it's absolutely worth a visit, just to understand the story of ancient Egypt, to see all these amazing artifacts. And if you combine that with the Grand Egyptian Museum, I think you've had a really great overall experience of Egyptian artifacts, of what survives from a large expanse of time. And if you do, your face will be much happier than Senusret III, who tried to show that he was listening by giving big ears and that he was also suffering with a sad face. And you can always top off with a fish and chips to add a real authentic Egyptian experience. And next, my video about the Grand Egyptian Museum.